What is going on, everybody? I'm back at the park. This is my sacred space, place I go to meditate and think. Been coming here for 6 months as I've been going through recovery from narcissistic abuse. And this video is going to be a little selfish. It's going to be more bloggish like my first one. Not really looking for views. It's just kind of an update for those of you that have been following my story since it started. I have privated streams and videos that mention the name of NarcEx, and that is because I'm done fighting. I'm done fighting with her. Done talking about that. Some of the videos that I've been doing, increasingly less videos that I've been doing, I've been more generally about narcissistic abuse and awareness, narcissism itself, and I'm going to be going full-fledged into that going into the future because I'm done with that situation. So this will probably be the last time I really have anything to say about that, unless it's relative to a topic that comes up, and in which case I'll just reference an experience that I had. Not looking for clicks with this one. So I've learned a lot of things in the last 6 months, grown a lot. Reading, talking to people, researching. I had to go out on my own for the longest time. I was part of a big community of YouTubers and other social media personalities, and I've just backed away from basically all of them. Because as I went through what I went through, and I began to understand and recognize toxic behaviors and toxic, like negative personality types, I began to recognize that in other people. And as I learned the steps that it takes to separate yourself from toxicity, from toxic people and toxic environments, I just cut them out. I've cut like 98% of the people in my life out. And that doesn't mean they were all toxic. It's just people who continue to associate with, believe in, hang out with, talk to toxic, terrible people. Like, can't. You can't. You got to move forward and you got to think about yourself. You got to be selfish about yourself. A couple things I wanted to talk about. Talk about the empath and narcissist, connection, and how narcissistic personality types usually go after empaths. That's absolutely true. Empaths, a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times, we are people who have been through a lot in our life. Our life path is to go through trials in order to grow. It's what makes us who we are. It's how we evolve as a soul. And narcissists do not work on themselves, rarely do. I mean, there are some that get therapy and work, and deal with their NPD, but many don't. There's a lot of references to like the twin flame connection between a narcissist, or not connection, but like the supposing of a twin flame with a narcissist and an empath. So I have learned that there are situations where empaths can become narcissistic, become narcissists themselves. It's why it's very important to discover yourself and isolate when you get away from a toxic person, narcissistic person, because if you don't, then they spread their damage into you, like they spread their harm into you, and then you can become them. I almost went down that arc, and saved myself from becoming a narcissist, because I recognized the dogmatic nature, the contradictory nature in proclaiming or holding the values that I've had and having the abilities that I have, and then like mirroring a narcissist to the point where it's you're at this precipice. Like, okay, do I jump? Do I go all in? Do I become this evil, or do I just mirror it and then stop and walk away? And thankfully, I walked away. I know there are people out there, there are empaths out there who don't. They misuse their power, and they become dark empaths. That's a thing. Another thing is, I am coming to believe that, before we come into this life, we have missions. In this incarnation, we have things we're supposed to do, things we're supposed to learn to evolve our soul. And I think that we make soul contracts with certain people in order to grow. I think that some of those soul contracts come between people who have similar needs to grow, similar things to achieve in life in order to evolve as spiritual people. And I believe that some of those sometimes involve people who develop narcissism or become narcissistic or narcissists, and people who are empathic. Like twin flames, right? Twin flames that's not your soulmate. There's a difference between a twin flame and a soulmate. Your soulmate is the person that you're meant to be with, that complements everything that you do, that loves you the way that you love them, that you can go through your trials and tribulations, you can go through your individual obstacles in order to grow as people, but you also take strength from one another. You help each other to advance through life. Twin flames, twin flames are destructive forces, all right? Good sex, great times when you're with each other, when you're not fighting, but when you're not together, you're fighting. There's always an issue, there's always drama, there's always so much heat and chaos involved in a twin flame that, you're not meant to be together. You're not. And the more you try to be with a twin flame, the more you try to commit to a relationship with a twin flame, the more destruction is going to happen. Understanding that makes me look at narcissists and narcissists and empaths and go, that makes sense. That does make sense. Because twin flames are usually opposites. They're people who, I normally wouldn't associate with this personality type. I normally wouldn't be around this personality type. Like, I find this disgusting, but for some reason I find this person irresistible. Normally I wouldn't put up with this. I've never in my life put up with, being cheated on or being hit or being lied to or being, being devalued. No, I would normally never deal with that. But this person's irresistible. No matter how you got there, when it comes to cases with narcissists, like no matter how you got there, it's still a twin flame. And twin flames are destructive. You're not meant to be with them. And when it comes to soul contracts with others, for things you're supposed to learn in this life, what is the route that we as empaths or we as people go through with narcissists, right? We get abused, get lied to, we get used, right? That other person is not interested in healing themselves, they're not interested in doing the work, they're not interested in recognizing what's wrong with them, they're not, not taking accountability. They're the opposite of we who are duped or conned or fall in love with this con. And we're compassionate and forgiving and kind, and we just keep overlooking and keep trying and keep pushing, and we overlook and overlook and overlook. I think that, and then when we come to the point of actually leaving, go no contact, like we got to fight for our lives. When we're trauma bonded, we're fighting for our lives, we're fighting for our identities, and we finally get away, we rediscover who we are. And really, I would hope, I know it's not the case for everybody, but I think you're meant to become the strongest version of yourself after that destruction. I think you're meant to be. Well, that's how I look at it. So I think I went through what I went through for a few reasons. One of the things that we have to do during this is forgive. You gotta forgive, and you gotta let go. And we always say like that forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you, because you can't drink poison and expect another person to die. You gotta let go of the hate. I recently let go of all the hate that I had left, that I didn't realize I had left. And came to kind of a serenity about this whole thing. And now I'm still thinking about it because it was a big event that happened in my life. I'm still kind of working through some of these things, and also want to learn more so that I can help you guys. For me personally, I think one of the lessons was I have always worn my heart on my sleeve. I've always loved, not always, but most of the times I've loved other people more than I've loved myself. This situation forced me to learn how to love myself and put up boundaries and protect myself. And I've always known that I'm meant to be alone, which is difficult. It's a difficult thing to grasp. I've fought that thing. I fought that idea. My intuition has always told me that. And this is just for me personally, y'all. I'm not saying this. If it resonates with you, then, sorry, you're on this journey with me. But the more that I've ever loved in my life, and I've realized that, like, the people that I've attracted, for the most part, have been toxic, have been narcissistic or selfish, toxic people. And the more I've loved someone, the more hurt that I've been, right? This last one, I loved more than I've ever loved anything in my life. Way more than I loved me. Disrespected myself more, put up with more, dealt with more, than I ever dealt with in my entire life. And got hurt more than I ever had in my entire life. So I've also had to learn to be alone, separate myself from people, because I've cared too much about others, and it made me easily accessible to abusive people or manipulative people, because I forgive my good nature. I used to say that my heart was poison to me, and that's a negative way of looking at it. I'm just meant to be alone in this life. I think that's one of the lessons that I've had to learn, and I think the lesson from that is love yourself first. Look out for yourself, because you can't help nobody else if you don't take care of yourself first. So what I did with this when I was going through it was fought harder than I've ever fought, loved more than I've ever loved, sacrificed more than I ever have. I kept concentrating on the people I was triangulated with, the person I was triangulated with, who to this day I still believe is an awful person. I think they're my opposite, like, straight up. But I concentrated on, like, the battle. I had to learn that sometimes some battles aren't worth fighting. I had to learn a lot of things. Some people ain't worth fighting. Some people only want to fight. Like, they're toxic and they're hateful and angry. They do nasty stuff and they project that on you, or they want to use you as a shield so that other people focus on the conflict between you and the other person, or that other person, so they can easily dismiss the things that they're doing or project the things that they do. Sometimes some fights are not worth fighting. They're just not worth, your time, your energy. You're basically being used, even if you think you're being a good person, white knight, whatever. And so, oddly enough, this is going to be strange. I have to, if I'm true, if what I'm thinking is true about what happened, about soul contracts and if you hold on to hate, right? If you're meant to be with somebody, if you're meant to learn a lesson from somebody in this life, and you hold on to that hate, you can't learn them lessons. And that's why we forgive. That's why we forgive and move on. Because there's other things to work on, and holding on to hate just isn't going to help you. And so, forgiveness allows you the opportunity to really introspect and be done with it and learn the lessons and transmute that energy into something better. So as odd as it may sound, if that is the case, in the weirdest way, I have to thank the ex and the toxic people that I had to engage with and deal with, and all of the crap I had to deal with in order to grow. Because if that was the contract between us, then it did its job. I'm a different person I'm a different person today than I was years ago. And I engage or disengage or do not react or do not respond a lot more than I used to, or in different ways than I used to. I was trying to win. I was trying to win an unwinnable situation. I say a lot of times narcissists create problems for which there is no solution, perpetual conflict and chaos. And so I kept trying to win in a situation where there was problems being created for which there was no solution. It doesn't matter where she is, where she ends up, who she's with, who she's not with. All that don't matter. What matters is me and my life. And so understanding all that, damn, there is this been trying to crawl on me the whole time. I'm trying to, dude, stop, please. So I'm done. I'm done with it all, and there is no win. There is no win there. There is no win. There's no winning with a narcissist. There's no winning with perpetual conflict. There's no winning with a toxic person or a situation that's not meant to happen, especially if it's a twin flame situation. So I think I was in a twin flame situation. And there's no winning there, but the winning was winning me. Winning was winning myself back, winning a better version of me and who I am. And I'll take that. I feel better than I ever have. I've also learned how to be alone, but I'm also combating loneliness a little bit. I am. My whole life, I wanted that love that lasts forever. Thank the gods, like my son, my oldest son, he found that. My youngest son might have found that. His girlfriend's incredible, and I know it's a family trait to want that person you're gonna be with for the rest of your life. But I think that it's for me and my soul, and my placement, my lessons, was put in this circle for one of many reasons, and I think that was just to understand I'm meant to be alone. There is no. It's I'm almost 50 at this point. I'm 46, and I have to accept that, because gods know the next time I try, it can't. No, not after what I've been through. What could be worse than that? What am I going to accept? I'm going to accept less. I'm going to accept less than my heart's passion. I know I hear a lot of people that are going through this, and they say, I'll never love anybody that much. I get that, because I loved more than myself, which was the problem. I'm through with it. I'm through with it. I learned everything that I could learn on that path. I was told that by a psychic a year ago. I didn't listen. You can continue on with this, or you can learn what you need to learn in other places, but this is done. And it's done. It's totally done. It's not, there's no future, there's no nothing, there's no friendship, there's no nothing. It's a shame. It's a shame, because I knew that person for over half my life, most of my life, but if it took most of my life to get to the point of learning the lesson that I had to learn, or lessons that I had to learn, then, so would it be. So moving forward, I'm not going to be, that situation's done. I'm not going to be talking about that with her. It's over. No live streams talking about it. Not really. If I have to defend myself, if anything more comes my way, any more bullshit, any more lies that I need to address, I'll address it if I have to. But I won myself, and that's what matters. All right, so that's it. And any of you that's been around for me on this ride this entire time, I greatly appreciate you. And there's pretty much the final conclusion, the final act of this whole journey, or that whole journey. And moving forward, we are going to talk about real toxic, nasty, demonic fucks who do not give a shit about anything but themselves, and will lie, and will live in cognitive dissonance, and live in their own illusions and bullshit. And we will run that down, bro, because I am not stopping. There's a lot of these toxic, terrible people that exist in the world, and there's not enough awareness about them. And the people who have been through narcissistic abuse, we need a support structure. So that's what I'm going to continue to do. That's what I'm going to continue to be. I might change the channel name here in the future because this channel was built to do tarot, and I think I want to do tarot again. So I might make a third channel. Who knows what's going to happen? So I greatly appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being on this ride. I couldn't have gotten through this without you. It was a hell of a lot. So be good to each other, be good to yourselves, and suffer no fools.